Have you ever been on a sales call and at the end of it they go, "Oh man, I just didn't think that it would be that much," or had someone be like, "Oh, okay, I thought it would be a little bit cheaper." Well, that is an objection not many people talk about very much, but it's called price shock. And in this video, what I'm going to do is break down exactly where it comes from, how you can identify it before it becomes a problem, how you can pre-handle it, because handling it just doesn't really seem to work that much. Because you have to go through all kinds of weird stuff, arguing. But at the end of the day, they're just shocked at the price, and sticker shock is a difficult thing to overcome. One, I used to sell a lot of fitness, and people think that fitness can cost like $10 like a month, and you get free pizza on a Thursday, like Planet Fitness style. People just don't really know how much it costs, and so over the course of like 10 years of selling fitness, right? Whether it be like gyms or personal training, whatever. I kind of got sick of it, and so I developed what I think is my own. Somebody might have done it before me, but what I think is my own sort of way of dealing and handling this, which is a pre-handle. So it's a very difficult thing to handle. So I'm not going to go into that because, like, you're much better off just figuring it out and then having some way to pre-handle it to give yourself the ability to lessen the blow that's where. And I'll give you a really good kind of analogy for this. And it's, if I put Jeff Bezos at a Bugatti dealership and said, "Jeff, this is a $4 million Bugatti," like, he wouldn't blink. He's Jeff Bezos. He can afford it if he wants it. And then, but if I put him into a Toyota dealership and was like, "Hey, Jeff, this is a $4 million Toyota," like, he would shit his pants. And he'd be super shocked, and he would reel back from the price and go, "Whoa, geez," right? Because the context doesn't make sense. A $4 million Bugatti, standard, right? What color is yours? A $4 million Toyota doesn't make any sense, right? So, what that is like there's an expectation of pricing that individual brings in, and we have to figure out a way of seeing if they have an expectation of pricing, because if he'd paid previously $4 million, or he'd seen a $4 million Toyota, then that wouldn't surprise him the second time around. And so we want to figure out like how we can gauge this. So what I'll do is I'll give you a quick example of how I used to do this in fitness. Okay. And so I'm going to role play with myself. It's going to be really fun. And go, "Okay, Matt, so do you have any experience in the fitness industry? You've had a personal trainer or anything like that before?" "No, Matt, I haven't." "Okay, cool. What might help you is if I just kind of break down, I guess, a couple of ways the industry usually does it, so that you have, I guess, the ability to really kind of see what it is out there, and then how we do it, and then that might give you some more context. Is that cool? Yeah, sweet. All right, cool. So unlike there's three main ways of doing it, right? There's like outdoor boot camp, what we do, like small group personal training, and then you have like one-on-one PT, okay? All of which are great. I'm on Team Fitness, right? Whatever gets you rocking and rolling, I'm for it. But I just kind of want to give you the context. So on like the kind of cheaper end of the spectrum, like cheap and cheerful, right, you got like outdoor boot camp. It's 50 people outside, running around, having fun. It's good for fun and fitness. It's not great for like specific fat loss or individual problems like that, you know what I mean? But hey, if that's all people can swing, then I'm all for it. Get out there, whatever gets you moving and grooving, I'm all for. On the other end of that spectrum, right, you've got something like a one-on-one PT. Okay, now it's a fantastic way of doing it, but you might be looking at something like, $200, $300, $400 a week, right? Because you got that person one-on-one. It's personalized. They're there with you, right? It's kind of like having someone hold your dick at a urinal. It's like, you don't need it, but it's nice, right? Hey guys, what's up? Matt here, and I've noticed that a lot of you are not subscribed. So what I want you to do is like go over and hit the little subscription. It really helps the channel out. And if you like the kind of content that I do, and you're like, "Hey, how can I get similar content but pay for it?" then I have a membership. You can go over and join that at any stage that you want. It's like $49 a month, up to about $200 a month. And we do like live Q&As. We have a coaching call nearly every single day. And there's like well over 100 videos, and I upload like sort of private trainings and stuff that I do all the time. So if you want to check that out, go for it. Sign up through YouTube, cancel anytime, all that kind of good stuff. And anyway, back to the video. Bye. So, and then what we do is we do like small group personal training. So we try and get you the benefit of the one-on-one, but with the community of the group. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. Now, what I did there, okay, is that I never said the price of the one in the middle, okay? But what I did is I put the value towards the top, like, you know what I mean? And then I gave them a pricing bracket of like $50 a week up to $300-400 a week, okay? So that gives them a pricing bracket where now they know, like, this is what I'm roughly looking at, but it's done in a way that doesn't really invite a lot more follow-on conversation, but also it doesn't put any of it down, okay? but it's so cheap and cheerful, right? Like I'm still saying, and I'm saying, hey, whatever gets you out there moving and grooving, right? It's great. Okay. So that example, it's very, very specifically worded, and I encourage you to kind of go back and listen to it. But you want to figure out like what is the bottom, what is the very top possible option, right? And if you are that, I might do another video if you comment down below on how you can phrase it so that you are the very top option. But it's a similar sort of thing. You just got to go with more value-based stuff, right? But the key is to never say your price, but you want to give a price anchor, right? Because what are they doing? They're coming in, they're just surprised, right? So if I can say bottom is $50 a week and the top is $300 a week, right? Then at least now they have a gradient. And then what they're going to do when I do my pitch is they're going to be like putting it into that gradient from a value perspective. And as long as I can bump the value up nice and high, and if I'm lower than that very, very highest price, then it actually seems like pretty good value, even if it's more than what they had initially expected. But it significantly lessens the blow. So now what are the things that you should not do during this? All right. First thing is never put the other options down. All right. You don't want to do that. Like cheap is a very, very nasty word. And so that's why I say cheap and cheerful. Okay. Because if you're like, the cheap option is this, and then you put it down and say it's shit and no good, then like, if that's all they can afford or if that's what they've been doing, I mean, that might not bode well for you because one, they might have got a good result. They might have enjoyed it, but also it's just kind of unnecessary. Okay. And then you don't want to, make the top option seem like it's over the top or unnecessary as well. And, in the case of say like a medical type thing, I work with like a neuropathy clinic. And they're kind of at that $7,000-8,000 mark, and the top one would be surgery, say $15,000-20,000. But we say like, hey, listen, it's a really fantastic and like effective way of doing it. However, if we can avoid people going under the knife and the unnecessary risks that do that by putting in a plan that helps prevent it from happening in the first place, then we feel like that's a net positive for our patients. Okay, so again, like I'm not putting it down, but there is an associated risk of which I'm just saying that's one of the reasons why we do it this way, right? You don't want to then allow probes to come in, and because you don't want it to turn into an early pitch. So it's important that this is a very well rehearsed part of your script. You notice that when I did it, okay, there's no real ums and ahs and stuff like that. It's just I've done it so many times that it's sort of just off the top of my head. Hey, on the one end of the spectrum, there's like the cheap and chill for, right? There's the boot camp. It's like $50 a week. It's great for fun and fitness. Okay, there's no accident as to why I say it the exact same way every single time because it's very, very rehearsed. If you cannot do that really smoothly, okay, then what you're going to do is you're going to invite like all these unnecessary questions about it. Or they're going to be like, well, what do you know what I mean? Like, what do you charge? You need to be really slick with it and quite quick. And then it's just going to end with, does that make sense? All right, cool. And then you're going to go straight into the next part of your script, right? You're just going to slide right into the next part of your script, okay? Because my last thing is if you go too slow, this is going to trip you up. This is not like a super beginner like first day at the job, I heard it on the YouTubes and I'm going to have a crack. Okay. That's not how this works. This is a like break in case of emergency. You ask someone, hey, do you have any experience in this? Have you ever encountered yada, yada, yada? And they go, no. And you go, all right, cool. Now I'm going to do my price shock because like they don't have any context. So when I go and drop a $50K Warhammer on them, okay, they're going to lose their mind. But if they're like, oh, no, I've had high-end consulting before. Okay, cool. And what was the experience like, right? So now I don't need to do it now. So there are certain parts of your script that are like arrows in a quiver, right? You use them when you need them, but you don't always need them. And this is one of those things. All right? So listen, guys, I hope that is helpful because for someone, I've been selling for a long time. I've never heard anyone really talk about this, right? And it works very, very well. You do have to rehearse it. You do have to write it out and you do have to really think through it. And before you're like, hey, man, what would you do for this? I'm not going to answer your question in the fucking comments. Like, I'm not thinking it up for you. Like, this is not the channel for that. Go to somebody else. I want you to figure it out yourself because then you'll actually understand it. I gave you an example that I use, okay, that I've used for years. And the whole point of it is that it's specific and rehearsed enough to where it elevates your product to the higher part of the value ladder, but gives them a good bracket and allows you to move it forward, knowing that you've done what you can do to prevent sticker shock. All right. Hope that was helpful. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit notification bell, join the membership for goodness sake.